Welcome to this episode of Conscious Design. I'm your host, Ian Peterman, and author of the Conscious Design book. And I'm excited to have Elliot here today. He's the founder and CEO of Jaspur. It's a platform for finding amazing, sustainable products. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
It's always love talking to people about what they're doing. And I love the good origin story. I think we watch enough Marvel now. We all like origin stories. So to start, what got you thinking about this? I feel like this is a big undertaking to build a platform like this. So how did you get started? What drove you to go, yeah, I'm the guy. I'm going to go do this.
I don't want to speak for us all because I'm still kind of a new entrepreneur in a sense, but, I think that we all have that moment of like, why us? It's like, why should it be us? And it's in the industry, it's known as like the imposter syndrome, right? My origin is, I come from a fashion design background. I went to college for fashion, started my career in New York, working for Kenneth Cole and starting there. And then, as time goes on, I started looking at it through a different lens of a consumer and what I was missing, what I wasn't getting. And it was brutally difficult to find the fashion, the clothing, the gear, whatever it is for my lifestyle. It was just insanely time consuming and it was more effort than it should ever be. And then when you throw into the sustainability aspect to it, even now, even though it's getting more and more and more aware now, and people are becoming more aware of this now. It's even 5 years ago, it wasn't that prominent, So I think just kind of saying this, reflecting, connecting the dots on my life, there's, can say on the surface of that, where I can go very, very deep into that rabbit hole up there. But, I think I realized, I need to do something about this. This is my next personal and professional journey. And so because I wasn't getting what I needed and out of this part of my life, it was something that, I realized that I can be part of creating something that adds solutions to the world, or just sitting back and doing nothing, which is not me as a person. So I just decided to take action. And thank God I was naive, because if I knew what I was getting myself into, I probably wouldn't have done it,
I feel like that sentence right there is behind pretty much every entrepreneur, everybody who starts a business the first time. They're like, yeah, you would have actually told me, or if I'd actually listened to all the people that told me it was going to be hard, I didn't connect the dots of just how you said hard, but I didn't get it. And you're in it and you're like, well, I'm committed now. Let's do it anyway.
Yeah, exactly. It's coming to a point where you've done so much that it's like, you can't go back now, I mean, I've started a business. I've co-founded a small business and sold it successfully before, but there was nothing on the scale of what we're trying to do now,
Yeah. Well, it's easy. I shouldn't say easy. You can start up something, and if it's a very small scope and it's very really well defined and people have done it before, like there's ways to make it easier for sure. But then there's what you're doing, which is a whole new thing. For people that won't know what Jaspur is, what is the goal? Like what is your goal for this platform for people to use it? What do people get from it? Because you're mentioning like you're missing this component from your life, being able to do this. So you just explain a little bit in your own words.
Yeah, of course. No, I think that's a great question, especially as an intro. I think, so we started out as doing, all of fashion, but very, very quickly into this journey that we were in, we became hyper-focused on sportswear and activewear. So what Jaspur is, our mission is to allow people to stay active while consuming responsibly and helping restore balance to the planet, period. That's it. And there's obviously a lot of the back end to that, which is, which is again, going back to why I started it. And it's we needed to figure out. So Jaspur is a sustainable sportswear marketplace that enables sustainable living through media and community. And it's kind of a mouthful because we're building something that's never been built before. And so we're still kind of figuring out what exactly we are, because we're kind of a hybrid between a search engine and a marketplace, and for multiple reasons. But, we've, since day one of me walking the streets like an idiot on San Francisco, begging people to test my very black and white 2D crappy prototypes and saying, hey, does this help you in any way? Till now, we've evolved because of what people are asking for and what they need. So, we offer a media, a market, and a community. And so we're referring to them as our eco market, eco community, eco media. And everything revolves around living an active and outdoor lifestyle and sustainable living, or circular economy, or zero waste, whatever you want to call it. And so the point of Jaspur is, yes, there's a lot going on, but I think today and age, the modern consumer and modern person needs, a bunch of stuff in an all-in-one kind of one-stop shop. And so we sell new products with brands on our platform, but the goal of Jaspur's market or eco market is to promote buying less, buying better. And so what that means is, user to user transactions, rent stuff, buy used gear, but when you do need new products, we've vetted these brands who are partnered on our platform. So they have to meet minimal sustainable requirements in order to even be on our platform. Then we rate them with our own rating system that specifically is catered to sportswear and activewear, because it's a very different beast than ready-to-wear fashion.
Right.
Then we provide the information from our media, what you're a snowboarder, a trail runner, a kayaker, whatever it is you love to do, how your life impacts the planet, and we want to provide you with, basic knowledge and foundation of what is sustainability, what's greenwashing, what's circularity, just kind of give the people, the consumers, even though our team laughs about that word, we want to give consumers, the information that they need, the education, the knowledge that they need and want to know who their money is supporting, what they're buying from, what their buying habits contributes to, and how it impacts the planet. Then, of course, the community. Sorry, I know this is a long roundabout answer, but then there's a community that, revolves around this kind of stuff. And when you feel like you're part of something that's bigger, if you're part of a community where other people share your own passions and lifestyles and choices, it's a powerful thing. I'm not trying to plug in this. Actually, I won't give them their name, but there's this meditation app that I absolutely love. And it's like the only app that I actually pay for, because this is my spiritual, awareness and beliefs. And I get to share that with this kind of community around the world of people. And I've met tons of people already because based on this, similarities. And so I believe that by giving all of those core pieces in a one-stop shop, if you will, is extremely important to allow people to, feel heard, but get what they need in the way that they need it, and instantly, where it's not time consuming as well. So it's about convenience and trust and building relationships.
Yeah, I love that, because it's one of the things I talk to with clients and just anybody that's in this space is a lot of people focus on sustainability, but sometimes they make it hard, right? It's like, oh, this product is really sustainable, but it's pain to deal with. And so like that convenience level of you can't be harder to use than the unsustainable option. Otherwise, a lot of people they don't have time. They don't have, right? Time is a valuable resource and they don't have the time to deal with it. So being able to package it together like this. And I think I feel like outdoor anything is very community based anyway. Like see like hikers groups, anything, any of the kayakers, like they all just somehow anyway, just group together. Like it's very, I don't know what it is about the sporting outdoor world, but it is very tight. You'll find very tight groups of community, and here's the club, and it's just there. Like it's somehow woven in. Like if you do that, you're probably very community driven. So it makes perfect sense for you to go, yeah, we're doing this space and there's community in there. And I feel like it's great. And I love your point of how it helps people, right? Because if you're just doing it alone or trying to figure out stuff, it's really hard. It's better to do it in a group and be able to share. And it probably for you guys as well as a company, it probably gives you a lot more feedback because you are trying to do that, filtering, finding the right things. If you have a community, you can actually get really good feedback. And, if 10% of your community says we want X, then you can, you have a pretty good director like, oh, well, we're pretty, or 90% says we want this. This is the must have. We got to figure out what we can do with that. Now, from your standpoint, right, you're not developing your own products. You're this platform, you're this hub, basically. What are some of the criteria that you use to go, yes, this is sustainable? Because there's so many metrics, right? And you touched on a little bit, right? It's sustainable, but how about you not buy 3 of them a year and have it last longer? So how do you guys look at that for the brands you work with?
Man, you open up a whole can of complexity, man.
Let's do it. Rabbit hole.
Yeah, awesome. Exactly. This is why this transformational period of sustainability and implementing sustainable practices into whether it's for profit or not for profit companies is a big deal, and one, when we talk about this kind of stuff, it's, if you're not authentic, like you're already going to get, martyred or, stoned and all that kind of stuff, and so it's like, which is great because people are passionate about this. But, I think before I answer that, I want to clearly say that, we're just like everybody else, we're forever evolving, forever learning, we're not perfect. We're trying to do the best that we can, but in this space, driving positive change, this is our starting point, and we will evolve and we will be different in 5-10 years and next year than we are today. And that's the whole point, because we have a lot to learn as human beings of how to be truly sustainable. And then when you throw that gauntlet of a phrase of fashion industry, and is it an oxymoron to never be sustainable, in a sense, but, it's tough to say. So, some of the criteria, like with the brands, like we have like 5 major sections, it's like, some of them are like workers' well-being, how the durability of your product, the end of life, what's the brand's philosophy? What are the materials that you use and what they're made out of? The value chain. If you don't know, which is probably the hardest to know, because even the majority of fashion brands, which is crazy, they don't know where and how their products even were made. So if they don't know, how are you supposed to know? And then rate them on that and judge them on it. Or, you know what I mean? Not judge them, but be objectively, communicate their practices to the world. So
right. That traceability and accountability.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. How have you, because that's a can of worms and it's on its own. What have you found is really, are there any commonalities, right? When you have a supply chain, like you said, it can be hard to figure out, where did this actually come from? Have you come across any businesses that are doing it really well, or a method or process that you guys have been like, oh, this is great. Like this makes our job easy because it's pretty well put together? Or is it still just a minefield that you're not Not sure yet.
That is such a great question. First, again, let me clearly say, like, I'm not the sustainability expert. I have, my business partners are the sustainability experts and stuff like that. I studied as much as I can. I've taken courses and classes and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, you can study until you die.
As much as I can. Exactly. But I didn't go to school for it. You know what I mean? And I'm not an expert.
Hey, it's Ian here. So glad you're enjoying this episode of Conscious Design. If you want the full scoop on conscious design, what it is, how we do it, how you can do it, then check out our book. We wrote it so creative entrepreneurs like you can code social and environmental responsibility right into your brand's DNA. You can download the first chapter for free. Link is in the description. Enjoy the rest of the episode. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share.
So, take what I say with a grain of salt, in that sense. But, I'm really thinking here, man, because there's, I think one company that I'll mention, which is the most obvious company, but it's obvious for a reason. And that's Patagonia. And, they're not as sustainable as we all think and all maybe are led out to believe. However, they're still an amazing company. One, how big they are and what kind of they do. And they actually promote buying less, which is crazy. And then, which in turn, people actually buy more of that because so it's kind of like a reverse, effect on that. But, we're still too young of a company and we don't have those type of business relationships with a great assortment of brands right now to give that an answer that it deserves in a sense. So let's just say we're still entering the minefield, as you put it. And, I think the thing is because we can all do better, no matter if you're a Patagonia or a startup, they're still trying to do better. So, no, there isn't really a company that sticks out more than, than that right now.
Yeah, it's a big issue. I've had lots of conversations, especially in the fashion world with people. And it's just, no one has figured out. So I ask and it's, in the spirit, like, hey, have you seen anything? Because eventually someone will, I found it. And then we just need to tell everyone. But it's a process for getting there.
I think, to be honest, at least from my standpoint, Ian, is like in the next 5 to 10 years, I think we'll have better answers for that, like on a serious note, because that's why we're in the business. It's to filter down this lack of knowledge or this knowledge that is purposely or unpurposely hidden from us, So I think it's discoverability, traceability, and all this kind of stuff. And there's amazing companies that are doing amazing things out there. Our focus is just on responsible consumption. And if it wasn't for many other companies, doing really cool things, we wouldn't even be able to do what we're trying to do. I think there's one company that's like creating like product passports from concept, till the grave in a sense, where you can see and trace exactly along the value chain your product that you bought came from. And that's still far away from being perfect as well, because it's insanely difficult. But, I think that's the whole reason why we are in business and why I believe our business will be successful is to help break down this complexities,
Yeah, I think it's going to take a lot of it. And then it'll get there. Because one of the things that I've had a few recent conversations with companies that it's like, hey, well, we could technology. Could you use it? Because I meet all kinds of interesting technology. Like, hey, this could, I could definitely see this tracking it. And they'll go, yeah, but if we add $1 to every component, now your jacket, the customer, going to actually pay $50 extra just for having tracked all the people. Like, yeah, we can do it. So there's some really interesting technologies, but some of it comes down to, well, okay, no one wants to pay for it.
Right.
So we haven't found the option yet. There are options. They're just not great. that people have.
Right. No, you're spot on. And that's the thing. I think the majority of at least the younger generation. So our target market is, of course, the younger generations, and being more specific. You want to talk about millennials, whether that's 27 to 42 or that little, I know there's a give or take a few years there. But even Gen Z, I mean, they're both, they have some overlapping, commonalities, but, I think, these guys are the ones that are leading the charge and driving this change for us, and they are willing to pay more, for these sustainable products, which is amazing, especially since inflation and all this other kind of stuff. And life is just brutally hard and getting harder because, the broken system in a sense, right? Which is a whole nother podcast for you. But yeah, the good news is that the majority of this market is willing to pay more. The caveat behind that, though, is companies like Jaspur to allow them to give them reasons, trust to why they should or should not spend, what the X amount more that they did on these products,
Yeah, that's a good point of having that. It's just third party verification, right? It's like, hey, I have a good product. And then somebody else goes, yeah, they actually do. That's true. Like person A is telling the truth. It is good. We've validated that and being that platform because I know there's tons of studies out there like, oh, people are willing to pay more, but at the same time, people don't always do that. And so that's a really good point of bringing that validation piece. You're going through, companies and you're growing, obviously the number of companies you have. Are there anything that you look for specifically? Like, are you in expanding? Like, are you staying here in sports? Is there any other areas that you're like, oh, I wish, like if you had a wish list of companies or spaces, like, is there any missing gaps? Because that's one of the things I think people are always looking at. Well, how do we do a new, especially in the fashion world? There's so many fashion startups. They're like, oh, I'm sustainable, but we don't need another. I mean, we can always use another one, but I don't think we need another, purse or dress or pair of shorts. That's just like, we have options there. Are there any holes that you see there? Like, yeah, there's nobody doing anything. So like, we can't even do this type of garment because no one's even trying to make it.
I think if you're talking about just regular fashion, I think for the majority of people are really doing a lot of things. I think they're doing a lot with mushrooms and testing with mycelium. On that note, there are people trying to create biodegradable products and, whether in plant-based products, vegan, non-synthetics, and even reusing and repurposing, whether it's plastic bottles, which, there's the PET, which is not sustainable, to be honest with you. That's, again, it's like misconstruing these concepts of, oh, we're taking plastics from the ocean and turning it into fabrics that now you can wear. Yes, in theory, it's great. You're taking trash out of the ocean, which is a beautiful thing, but you're creating something that can't be broken down again. It can't be recycled and reused. So by definition, that is not sustainable. And for me personally, that's just biased. I don't want to wear plastic bottles on my body. But that's that. But
it's not my particular choice of material.
Right.
I'm not wearing plastic bags. That's not really my goal.
Yeah. The trash bags, you see in some fashion shows.
Yes, I've seen that.
I think, I've been out of the fashion industry for some time now. So I'm leaving maybe a handful of things out that I'm unaware of. But from my position where I stand in, because my world is very small right now, because I'm building a startup. So I that's my world. But I think, there's enough, because people ask us like, hey, are you going to make Jaspur apparel? And I'm like, no, there's so much waste and landfill of apparel and stuff. It's just, we don't need more. I think, to be honest, again, this is so biased and so like plugging in my company and stuff, and I'm not trying to do that, but like, all right, even if I don't say anything about Jaspur, with any company doing anything that's like relevant to Jaspur that is in their own industry, whether that's making things easier, for the consumers to consume and giving knowledge. So, to me, I think not on the fashion side of things, but on just intention action gap, which is kind of like our main issue that we're trying to solve here. Because a lot of these are just consumers, they have intentions. They want to lower their environmental impact. They're trying to consume better, buy better, but they don't have the knowledge. They don't have the tools. They don't have the understanding and the trust to do it. So I think that's why Jaspur exists, is because there is a gap and there's a hole that's missing in this kind of, we're like kind of the matchmaker or a therapist, if you will, like between brands and consumers, and so like there's this intermediary, and Jaspur as a whole, we need to become credible that way. Cause like who's Jaspur? Who are you guys to be the validators of giving, making sure these guys are credible, right? And it's going to take time for people to trust us. And the only way to build that trust is to be completely transparent, communicate what we can, So I think that's the best example I could give to that question,
Yeah. Yeah. It's needed. It's definitely needed as a good player, because it's, from what I see, and you can let me know your thoughts on this if you have different ones or anything, but what I'm seeing is consumers are almost expecting, right? I feel like there's a lot more expectation that a brand has sustainability as part of it, but they don't always make that decision. So they're like, because there's been so much greenwashing. I feel like greenwashing was successful. Everybody wants eco-friendly, but now nobody knows what is eco-friendly anymore, because there's like, well, this company says they are, but this company says that this company is not. And so now you have what you said, there's that information gap where they want it. They know that, I saw a study is like 87% of the US agrees that climate change is real, which is like the only thing that we can agree on. Like it's now superseded politics.
Wow,
in general. Like we can agree on that, but not who to vote for or anything else. No, it's not even right. We can agree that that's real. So like it's there. Like we know we want it. We know it's there, but we also know greenwashing is real. And that like it's a bit of a dichotomy, I feel, going on. And it's going to take some time to teach people, actually show people what's real, what's not real. But I feel like the demand is there. So it's great to hear, and it sounds like that's what you're finding as well. Like there's a really good demand for it. It's just positioning and going, hey, this is real. This is why it's real. This is why you should trust this brand. Here's all the proof. Here's that passport. Prove you it's actually sustainably created. And then you can help people make that decision and purchase something.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I think too, like I was reading this article from the Harvard Business Review, and trust me, I'm not trying to sound smart. Like I read Harvard Business Review all the time. Like I never do. It was just an article my advisor sent me. So the only reason why I'm mentioning it is because it's an insanely valid source.
Right.
And so, they came out last week and they're stating that, the majority of people, are, like you said, it's one, they're expecting it, but two, one thing that drives, and if you want to talk like even business stats and ROIs with people who are more financially in tune with startups and businesses, et cetera, you have, the trust and the sustainability and then the buying power. So the trust, is actually equates to higher stock returns and higher purchases, which is what these kind of companies survive off of and live off of. So, if people are willing to pay more, if people are literally demanding it, I've come through a range of people who, one, I would love to talk to that 13% who don't believe in climate change, because that's like, let's just have at it,
Yeah, let's see what's left.
Seriously. But these people who, I've seen of a range that where people are like, don't even know how to like anything about recycling. They think recycling actually works and that kind of stuff too. People like myself and beyond who are so aware and granular, and they call me out of my own mistakes, and it's, that kind of stuff. So there's just wide gap of these consumers of where that knowledge is missing, and so I think I say that because it doesn't matter, if you're a professional or not in this arena. It's just, there's always more to know. And what it boils down to, from what I've asked hundreds and thousands of people at this point, not hundreds of thousands and thousands. Just wanted to clear that up. Is convenience. That's why fast fashion is fast fashion. It's like, it's so convenient. How would you not buy it? Exactly.
It's a stapled easy button for.
Oh, exactly. I forgot about that. That's a good one. So if you can make sustainable options and alternatives equally or more convenient than the non-sustainable options, you're already a leg up,
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's been spending a lot of time like researching and looking at this. And I think it's changed. Like, I think 10 years ago, I was able to talk to people that are like, oh, I have a sustainable whatever. And that's all I had to do is say, oh, it's sustainable. And people were like, all right, take my money. And that worked for a while, and it got a lot of people going. It's great, right? Lots of companies started up. Some of them are doing really well, but now people are also going, well, but does it actually solve is it easy to use? It's not. I bought it and it sat in my closet for the last 8 years, and I still haven't used it because it was a pain. I used it once and it was horrible. And then, it's trash now, and it's, so it's good. I think it's changing. And I think, your platform, being able to educate people and be that platform for people to identify, hey, this is good. We'll make it easy for you. You don't have to do all this hunting on your own. We'll curate it basically and go, hey, here's, you want X. Well, here's 3 options that we found, or here's 100 options that we've found that can actually do what you want it to do and happens to be sustainable, which I think is I think that's what I try to tell every startup now that says, I'm sustainable. Like, well, so solve a problem and then happen to be sustainable, and people will love it and actually use it. Which is the key. Yeah. You want it to be sustainable, they got to keep using it over and over. That's part of how it's sustainable.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, like you said, there's many aspects. And then going back to what you said earlier, like that key word is eco-friendly. Like that word almost means like not sustainable. If you see like a company that just says we're eco-friendly, no, they're most likely not sustainable in any way.
Especially if they have a green leaf right next to it.
Yeah.
And it's probably not. It's too extra.
Yeah. So that's another thing too, right? Like people don't know. It's like how to read labels, how to care for your product to make it. Cause it doesn't just stop with you when you buy it. You have to take care of it. You have to care for it. You have to, when you don't want it anymore, what do you do with it? Instead of just tossing it and, forgetting about it and out of sight, out of mind. Right. But, it's the last mile, which is with the consumer. So we have to make things easy for them. Again, all about convenience, man. If it's convenient, people will do it.
Well, I love what you mentioned too, the whole care part, because I feel like that's, a lot of times we think as the average consumer is like, oh, well, I bought something sustainable, so now it's sustainable. No extra anything to it. It just is. And not really counting in the fact that like care, right? If you take care of it properly, maintain it properly. I mean, we think about that stuff most people think about that for things like cars.
Right.
But that's because we're like, oh, we just spent $30,000 and however much interest over the next 7 years to have that. Yeah, of course I'm going to take care of it. But people don't necessarily think about that for, I don't know, anything else, water bottle, right? It's like or even your shoes. Like people don't think about it like, oh, well, you could take care of like your shoes could last a long time. You can get them resold. Like there's all kinds of things you can actually do to keep things going. So that's a really good point to bring up. I think a lot of companies don't really focus on. I mean, some of them do. They're like, oh, here's our care product, but there's not as much like, hey, yeah, buy this. And there's a lot of focus on, oh, well, if that's bad, like, well, maybe we'll buy it back or buy a new one. And not as much on, well, here's the repair kit or here's the care kit. And we'll sell, we'll sell 100 of those because hopefully for the next 40 years you're using. It's a different way of thinking. And I'm glad you mentioned that because it's a lot of people ignore that component, which is important.
Yeah. I mean, we're all, and that's the thing too, right? Like we only know what we know. And so we're all along our own sustainability journeys and becoming sustainable, right? So it doesn't matter where we are. And this includes me, my company, and everybody. It's like, it's just about being better today than you were yesterday. That's it, period. And the same with our partners and brands. And so if you can take care of something, so I'm basing a lot of things as well, like off of my own experiences in life, so over the past 10 to 20 years, more so 10, but I think it gradually started almost 20 years ago, where, it just, you learn something and you become, I want to say a master, but you become really knowledgeable into something and it affects your life. And so let's say, for Jaspur, for instance, let's say people become, if we can change the way, my personal goal, which I get, smirked at a lot, but my personal goal for Jaspur is to change the way 100 million people consume in a positive way. That would be a win for me. And so if you do that, if you start learning how to consume and buy responsibly and sustainably with the products and gear based on your sportswear, activewear, and your active lifestyle and whatever, it naturally overflows into other aspects of your life. It's like, oh man, you start learning all this knowledge and stuff about sustainability. And so it's like, I'm not buying that toothpaste. I know about this, about that brand. It's surrounded and encased in plastic. So it just overflows, right? And so that's why I think like consumption, for some crazy reason, it's like, it's overlooked right now. And it's not as important as, I don't know, capturing carbon and turning it into ink or whatever it is you want to do with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just massive, massive risk, and it's a powerful concept, and so, I think that is the most important things to focus on but I don't want to discredit, all these other awesome companies doing cool things because everyone and everywhere needs to be doing their part. Like, I forget where I heard it, but someone's like, yeah, the climate change is an all hands on deck event. And so everyone either has to take part and do it or, support the people that are doing that.
Yeah. And I think that ties in really well with another thing people mention and I try to tell people is like, we get so overwhelmed, right? If you're like, I'm going to solve it. Like, no, you are not, like, don't take that on. That's bad. Go see a therapist. That will ruin your life if you try to take on that problem alone. It's all about if everybody just takes baby steps, we'll be fine. Like it'll be whatever change we want to do, just do little steps towards it and it will happen instantly. But I mean, we didn't create climate problems instantly either. So there's a magic wand is not available. Just take baby steps. It's okay. And it's a big thing for because I work with a lot of startups and people getting off the ground and they go, oh, well, we can't. Sometimes it just goes, well, we can't think about it at all. I'm like, well, yeah, because you're trying to solve everything right now. We can't do that about anything. Like there's no version that you do that anyway. There's no like perfect product that solves all the problems all at once. Like that, I don't know, that would be magic. We will accomplish some level of controlling our universe that no one has in our entire existence as humans. So while we're getting there, like you're just going to solve little pieces, do like whatever you can and then do better next time. Like that's success. If you stop doing better, then, that's kind of failure right there. But
Or we just invent AI and have it do it for us and create a magic wand for us.
Done.
Because there's nothing wrong that could possibly ever happen with AI.
Especially if it gets a magic wand. Yeah, that'll be fine. We'll be.
Exactly.
Oh,
no, but
awesome.
It's a good point. It's a very good point. Very good point.
Amazing. Well, this has been a great conversation. I'm excited to see where you and Jaspur go from here. For everyone that's listening, where is a good place to find you? Anything you want to add? Wrapping up here.
Yeah. I would just want to make it clear, we are not live. We are not live yet. We're in a beta stage at this point. So, but if you want to, we need all the help we can get, all the support we can get from people. And the simplest way to support is just follow us, on social media. I know it's very cliche, but it's true. It shows, our potential and future brand partners, our investment partners, our business partners, our employees, our everything. It shows that people are supporting this and they want this to happen. And by doing that, by showing that demand, we can create what is needed, right? So yes, our company is Jaspur, but until we are live, everything, well, even after that, but so all of our handles all across all social medias right now, it's mainly Facebook and Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn as well, but it's all Hello Jaspur. And just to be clear, it's Jaspur, not ER. And so It's Hello Jaspur. And even our is www.hellojasper.eco. That's ECO. It's not .com or anything else. And so, if you, follow us and support us, trust me, we can use all the help we can get. If you say, no, they have enough people, trust me, we will never have enough people. Just follow us and that would help.
Well, and now's a great time to give input. So for anyone listening that wants to be part of this or wants to see something added, this is beta good time to add features. Add that to your feature list. So always good. Get in early, follow, check them out. It's been great chatting with you. It's been a fun conversation. I'm excited to see you guys when you go live, and hopefully more and more partners come on board and see the value that they can get from working with you.
Yeah, it's been a blast, man. I had a great conversation. It's about our passions and all kind of stuff. So it was really cool. Thanks for having me.
Hey there. Thanks for joining us for this episode. I hope that you're enjoying the content we're putting out. If you're looking for more ways to learn about this, to get involved, create your own consciously designed products, there's a couple ways that you can do that. First is our book, Conscious Design, which you'll find a link to in the description of this episode. Please check that out. Go over quite a bit of information, what the process is, how I've applied it to product design, and some really great examples of companies out there that are doing really great work, some of whom you have seen on this podcast. The other way is our course, 4 Weeks to Launch, where I peel back the curtain on how to develop a product start to finish in a way that can create positive impact rather than any negative ones. So please check that out. That is a great resource. That will also be linked in the description as well. And see you on the next one.